Hello everyone, my name is Woojin Lee and I'm currently a senior majoring in AYA Integrated Science Education. Over the last year, our lives have been changed significantly due to the pandemic, the loss of many of our loved ones, the high unemployment rate, and crazy online Zoom classes. But most importantly, there has been a significant increase in Asian hate crimes. You might say, oh, that didn't happen here. What do you want me to do about it? But you and I both know that the hatred and hostility towards international students have always been high at Miami. It is just more noticeable than before. It was so common to see domestic students unwilling to sit next to Asian students in class, making snarky comments while moving away from them at Kroger, or even yelling at us to go back to our country when we would be walking in uptown late at night. But I'm not here to talk about the big issues like the pandemic or the hate crimes. I want to address this very situation at Miami and what has been going on even before this past year. I couldn't help but notice so many microaggressions occurring in the classroom and on campus. What I'm going to talk about right now is a universal experience. You would have probably seen this in your own classes. International students not speaking up in class, not being proactive in your group work, or speaking in a way that may not make sense to you. Before I get all into it, let me start by telling you my own story. I was born in South Korea, but I moved to China when I started first grade. I then had to move to Singapore in third grade and spent 7 years there. Just when I began to think of Singapore as my own home, my mom made my brothers and I move back to Korea, and I attended an international high school there. Although my nationality was Korean, I never felt that I was truly Korean. I never even attended any Korean local schools before. I was never accepted as myself. To my Chinese friends, I was too Korean to be Chinese. To my Singaporean friends, I was also too Korean to be Singaporean. But to my Korean friends, I was too Chinese, too Singaporean to be a Korean. And now they tell me I'm too American-minded. What does it even mean to be Korean, to be American? I'm sure that many of your social justice, race, or education classes tell you that race is not important, that it is merely a social construct. However, there is this dissonance between people refusing to be defined by their race and yet still weaponizing it against others. I'm sure many of you will say that race isn't important, nationality isn't important, sexuality isn't important, that we are all human and that we should love and accept each other for who we are. But is that reality? Now picture this. You travel across the world, spend 20 hours on flights to a new country, a new school. You're so excited to meet new people, experience a whole new culture. You hear all these amazing stories about how the United States of America is one of the most advanced countries in the world. But the actual experience was never close to the expectations. Now, how would you feel if a person asked you for a different name just because they don't know or aren't sure how to pronounce your real name? When they don't try, even when you try to help and repeat your name multiple times. When you've been in a class for 3 months and yet the professor still can't say your name right or confuses you with the other Asian student, it's so hard to feel that sense of belonging. It feels like you're denying our identity, our culture. How would you feel when your professor asks you to form a group for a project in class and you notice everyone refusing to make eye contact with you? When people expect you not to speak English and praises you for being able to have a normal conversation? How would you feel being called on every single time the class has a conversation about diversity or inclusion, knowing that your opinion may be misinterpreted as a representation of the whole Asian culture? How would you feel if people just assume your nationality by your appearance? How comfortable would you be speaking in front of a class in a second language? They tell you to speak up, be more verbal, and for that, you get mocked for your accent or mispronunciation of words. I know I've been asking you to think about being in my position, but I also wonder about being in your position. I wonder, how would it feel to just enjoy walking around uptown, especially at night? To not be scared about walking past a group of drunk people. To not think about how to respond if they come say ni hao or yell at you for being Asian. How would it feel if I could just focus on my classes without having to worry about being judged for my accent or my academic abilities? How would it feel to not have the pressure to prove myself constantly, to prove that I'm different from all the other international students who are thought of as that weight in class? There are so many battles that I and all the other international students have to fight against every day in class and on campus. If you are feeling uncomfortable listening to these questions and still choose to ignore actions like the ones I've described, then you are also weaponizing your whiteness. Other international students and I have constantly voiced our opinions and asked for change over the years. I've been listening to their voices since I was a freshman, and now I'm a senior. Sadly, I can't say that there has been a change. Year after year, it keeps repeating. Even from the previous RC 101s, we had panelists talking about this issue. Year after year, this same issue will come up if you choose to turn a blind eye to this situation. Talking about this is not progressing. We need substantial change. Michelle Obama said in her YouTube commencement,
"It starts where change always starts. In your own home, in your own social circles, in your own neighborhoods, at your own dinner tables. Sometimes it's easy to stand with strangers at a protest than it is to challenge someone in your own backyard."
That's why I'm here, talking to you. Change should start here in Miami, in our own classrooms. Everyone should feel safe and welcome in Miami, and that can only be achieved if you are willing to change. I hope what you felt today is not just a moment, but a stepping stone for you to think about how you can change and work towards making yourself better and Miami better. So, I have now done my part by speaking. It's now time for you to do your part by acting. After today, what will you change? Thank you.